Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally fantasy football season. We've waited all off season, baby, and we are here week one, right around the corner. We have got Patrick Mahomes throwing darts to no longer Tyreek Hill, but now MVS, Juju Smith-Schuster. We got Jamar Chase out here running routes for my man Joe Burrow. Man, we are back in football action, and that is why we are going to be running these defense streaming videos every week now. We've got kicker videos out as well. My boy John Dawson, you know who he is. He's going to be throwing out streamers for every other position as well, guys. So we are going to have your back here at The Catch. We're going to be giving you fantasy football advice, give you fantasy football updates 24/7, baby. The Catch fam is always out here to get each other's back, guys. And if you are not already a part of the Catch fam, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Come on and join the Catch fam. We are the best community in fantasy football, ladies and gentlemen. And if you enjoyed today's content or any other content you watch on the channel, make sure to hit that like button. It really does help out a bunch, guys. And if you do join the Catch fam, make sure to join the Discord as well. We love to chit chat with each other, whether it's about fantasy football, just football in general, or if it's food. I'm a big lover of cheese. Everybody in the Catch knows this. So we like to talk about food as well, guys. Today's video, we're gonna break down my top streaming options for the defense position in week one, guys. And the week one defensive streamers is a little bit unique because these could be defenses that you hold, right? So some of the defenses I'm gonna talk about here are gonna have value beyond week one, and I'll get into that a little bit as well. But I personally believe, as a fantasy football guy, that you can go ahead and stream this position on a weekly basis, and you don't need to do a whole lot in your draft to strategize for this. Maybe just take them as your last pick, right? Without further ado, my number one defense to stream for week one is going to be the New Orleans Saints, led by the Honey Badger himself, Tyrann Mathieu, one of my favorite college players ever, against the Atlanta Falcons and Cordero Patterson and Cheese himself. Man, as much as I'm rooting for Cordero Patterson and Cheese this season to bounce back just like he did last year, I think it's going to be a really rough stretch for the Atlanta Falcons, right? And the Falcons are going to struggle a ton against this Saints defense, which I think could be one of the best defenses in all of football this season for sure. They are loaded across the board, right? They lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the Eagles in a trade recently, but I still think this defense is very fierce, especially up front with Cam Jordan leading the charge, right? And now they've added in pieces, right? Bringing in the Honey Badger, who has been a playmaker his entire career, dating back to even high school, right? This defense is going to be very fierce, and they're going up against an offense in the Atlanta Falcons who really, unfortunately, just don't have a whole lot of options, right? Kyle Pitts, great fantasy option. He's a dual threat weapon in terms of he can come out from the outside, he can line up at tight end, he can line up at the slot too. Guy's a freak athlete, we understand that, but we can strategize for him to load him up, right? And Marcus Mariota, outside of that, he's really got Drake London, who is still suffering with an injury that he got in the preseason. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity for turnovers, because while Marcus Mariota actually had a PFF graded, really efficient preseason off of his limited snaps, that's just not carrying into the regular season, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to struggle against the New Orleans Saints, right? Marcus Mariota has been a career backup. And while I think he's got some good wheels, I think this is going to be a fantasy feast for the New Orleans Saints, and you need to go after him and get him for week one. And this is a defense that I love all season long. Up next, it might not be totally unexpected, but we're going to talk about the defense going up against the Seattle Seahawks week one. You know what? In my opinion, I think they should just roll out Pete Carroll as the quarterback, because we got Geno Smith, we got Drew Lock. We got basically the ball boys at this point throwing the rock, right? As someone who does root for the Denver Broncos on time-to-time occasion, I mean, I'm a Colts fan, but I root for the Broncos every once in a while, right? It was a travesty watching Drew Lock throw footballs. And Geno Smith, man, he hasn't been the same since throwing the rock as a Mountaineer in West Virginia, right? It's been a struggle. So I think this is going to be just a complete light up. I mean, Russell Wilson is going to have these boys really ready to go. They're going to come and they are going to kick the shit out of Seattle. The Seahawks are going to be in trouble. I think that offense of Seattle is it's a complete hot mess right now. Obviously, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, great weapons. That running back core, while they are good, I mean, I like Kenneth Walker, I like Rashad Penny. They're both struggling with separate injuries, and obviously Rashad Penny is struggling with the COVID recovery too. Just kind of a hot mess. The offensive line isn't great. quarterback situation is its own nightmare. We don't even need to get there. But what we do need to talk about is that this offense is just going to really struggle against, I think, the best secondary, if not one of the best secondaries in all of football, led by Patrick Surtain and Justin Simmons. I mean, this defense is really, really hot. I think they're really good. They added in Randy Gregory to back up a guy like Bradley Chubb coming off the edges. I just think there's going to be so much turnover opportunity here in this game. And once Russell Wilson starts throwing TDs left and right to get back at his old team, because you know Russell Wilson's going to be trying to do that against Pete Carroll, they're going to be put into a game script where the Seahawks are going to be chucking out passes, right? And those passes are going to be intercepted, all right? This is, I got to bet. If I can put some bets down, maybe find out, I need to get to Vegas, put some bets down, right? For this, a 2+ interception game, guaranteed lock. There's got to be negative odds, right? This is a lock, guys. And I love the Broncos too, going into week 2 as well, going up against the Houston Texans. And while I like Davis Mills a lot, I think getting the Denver Broncos to go up against Seattle and then the Houston Texans is one of the best opening stretches as a defense. Up next, we got the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Chicago Bears. And the Chicago Bears are a hot mess because outside of freaking Justin Fields, throwing it to Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet, I'm not too excited about anything there. I mean, yeah, you can sprinkle in some David Montgomery, I guess, right? But outside of that, I got no excitement, and I think this offense is going to struggle all season long, but especially against the San Francisco 49ers defense, which I think is one of the best defenses in football this year. And they've been a very, very talented defense over the past few years, but they've always struggled with injuries. Well, they're really fresh right now. They're really healthy right now. And getting Bosa to come off the edge there, a really healthy secondary right now. Oh my gosh, I think they're just going to absolutely feast. I think this is a great opportunity. Go ahead and snag them. I've done a lot of drafts, and I don't really see the 49ers get drafted on a consistent basis, so I think they'll be there too. And this is just a great opportunity to go ahead and pick them up off the waiver wire, plug them in week 1, see how they do, and just watch them give you a competitive advantage against your opponent that week. Gotta talk about my boys in blue, the Indianapolis Colts, going up against the Houston Texans. And I gave a little bit of praise to Davis Mills, but I'm not going to give too much praise to Davis Mills, Brandon Cooks, and Damian Pierce, right? Good, talented players, but I still think this Colts defense is a whole nother level of an animal when you talk about all this talent that is just loaded there, man. This defense, in my opinion, is the most talented defense from defensive line all the way to the secondary in all of football, man. And I can double pound on the table for that one, ladies and gentlemen. I think they are going to absolutely lock down the Houston Texans. I think they're going to be able to beat them up too. And this is a defense that was really good last year, right? Especially down the stretch too. And this is a defense that when you look at this division, right? This is a defense that I feel confident in holding past week 1 because you got the Houston Texans twice a year. You got the Jacksonville Jaguars twice a year. You got the Tennessee Titans, who really are just not looking too talented right now, especially with Treylon Burks struggling so much in preseason twice a year. It's just one of the best divisions, right? That's why when you look at some of these defenses to be where their ranking is going to be for the season, you got to look at their schedule. And the Colts have a great schedule this year. I think you could look at this defense as not only week 1 as a great opportunity, but all season, guys. Number 5, we're talking about a little bit of a revenge game here after the Zach Wilson fiasco. And I'm not talking about with his mom's friend and everything. Although that was a fiasco in itself. Talking about Zach Wilson getting injured, Joe Flacco going up against the Baltimore Ravens, ladies and gentlemen. Baltimore Ravens, not good last year. They were a real hot mess, but in years past, I mean, you look back 3 years, this is a top 5 defense every year. It's just what the Ravens are. I mean, you can go back even farther because obviously you got guys like Ed Reed and Ray Lewis that have just put that DNA in there as a stamp. This defense this year, fully healthy, right? That was their biggest problem last year. They were literally picking guys up out of nowhere to play corner for them last year. Now they're really healthy. They bring in Kyle Hamilton. They have a tremendous draft. Now they're going up against the New York Jets, who coming into the preseason, they had a really good offensive line. They had some good talent, but then they lose Becton, right? This offense is looking struggling. Joe Flacco is now their starting quarterback. I could end the whole argument there, guys. We got Joe Flacco, a quarterback. Throw him in your lineups, guys. We got to stream the Baltimore Ravens against Joe Flacco for crying out loud. Let's get a competitive advantage. let's put the Ravens on your depth chart, guys. For any veterans of the show who were here last year, I also go over just quickly a couple other ones that I want to throw in there in some deeper leagues that other defenses, some of these defenses might have already been taken. So some other options, right? I love the Tennessee Titans going up against the New York Giants, right? The Titans were sneakily a really solid defense towards the back stretch of fantasy football last season. That D-line up front led by Simmons is actually really, really strong. And I think going up against the New York Giants, week one, Daniel Jones, very, very turnover prone, especially fumbles. I think that he's going to struggle against a very fierce defensive line. And the receiving options, I think there's a ton of talent at receiver on the New York Giants, but they're just not either showing up in the case of, guys being hurt. Kadarius Toney is hurt. Really the only option that's healthy is like Wan'Dale Robinson. They're going to really struggle coming into week one and maybe the first few weeks to be healthy and to also just put guys out there that can catch the ball. So I think Daniel Jones is going to be a really bad opportunity, and a lot of turnovers might come out of that too. And you got Kevin Byard in the secondary for the Titans. I do look at this as a really good play as well, guys, and especially in the deeper leagues. Up next, we're going to talk about a really fun game and a good opportunity for your stream here. Carolina Panthers against the Cleveland Browns. There's no team I'm rooting against more than the Cleveland Browns. I'm rooting against them all season long, and I'm loving the fact that Baker Mayfield's going to come back in week one and hopefully just kick some ass, right? But I think this defense is going to kick some ass too. They're going to come after Jacoby Brissett all day long, man. That defense led by Brian Burns coming off the edge, it's going to be good. They're going to be creating sacks all over the place. This defense is really good. Last year, if you were here last season, I was a big supporter of them. On a weekly basis, they were doing really good things for fantasy football. They were very consistent, and they put up good numbers last year. I think they're even better this season. Bringing back J.C. Horn too, I think is really going to improve the secondary. And honestly, I just think that this Browns offense is going to be in a lot of trouble, and I think the Panthers are a really good defensive stream against the Browns this week. Lastly, I want to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a little bit deeper. This can go a couple different ways. So not as much conviction in this option, but I do really love the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I think that kind of from the D line all the way back to, Jesse Bates in the secondary, I think this is a very strong unit. They definitely showed their worth last season, and going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I get it, that, they are a good team. They've got really good receiving options. Everybody's excited about George Pickens too. But Najee Harris struggling with an injury a little bit in preseason. Obviously, he's got the foot injury. This offensive line for the Steelers is still god-awful. And it's either going to be Mitch or, it's more likely going to be Mitch or Kenny Pickett, who's going in there, right? It doesn't really matter. I think both of those are really good opportunities to play against. So I just think that that's another really good opportunity as well, guys. So that's it, guys. That is the week one must-start defenses for your fantasy football teams. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Again, hope you hit that like button. Hope you hit that subscribe button and come on and join the Catch fam. Make sure you throw comments in there, guys. Whether you hate my take or whether you love my take or whether you just got some questions about them, right? Throw your comments in there. I'm going to get down there. I'll respond to them too. Or give me some questions if you need some advice on what to do with your fantasy football teams that week. Because, hey, maybe a defense is taken, or hey, maybe you have some thoughts about a defense that you really love and you got a lot of conviction in. I want to talk about them, right? Maybe I need to put them in my lineup, right? So make sure you throw some comments in there. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Come on and join the Catch fam. Join the Discord. Come on and chat with the entire community, guys. Really do encourage that as well, guys. And I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have a great night. And guys, football season is here, and we got a lot of excitement to go. And with that, I really hope you enjoyed this video. And remember, you saw it here first at the Catch.